Good afternoon, y'all. My name is Jessica Skylar Baldwin, and I work with Dr. Liu Zhang and Miss Becky Cherry. This week we had a little bit of an adventure. We went to the northern orchards, which include Cherokee, Skiatook, and Cleveland. We collected both Pawnee and Hansa this week. We actually found our first bug that's not our friend. It actually burrows into the nut. It's called a case bear, and it burrows into the nut and it eats all the way through that nut, and then it will knock out a whole cluster and sometimes more than one. So our producers, they don't really like them, and now that we're starting to see them, then we can start telling people, hey, okay, it's time to spray. We've had instances already. You may be a little bit too late, but at this point, it's in your best interest to spray. So I wanted to show y'all the difference between a Pawnee and a Kansas pecan. So this is a Kansas. As you can see, it's a little bit more round. It has a flat top here, and as the Pawnee has more of a cupcake top. It's a longer strain of pecan, and it's thinner. This is me going through the orchard. We have a stick because I'm very short and I can't reach the branches sometimes, and I don't like getting up in the cherry picker. So we have this little tool that's very home engineered. And it helps for the most part. Sometimes they're a little bit too tall, and I do have to get in the cherry picker and still use that. So that's an adventure. On top, that is a picture of the case bear. It's like a little worm-looking thing. It's kind of gross. That is the middle picture. That is Cleveland. It's the orchard there. It's actually really cool there. So like it can be like 95 outside, and like as long as you're under the trees. Pecans have a lot of shade that come with them. And then this is just my everyday when we collect samples. I have to measure them, cut them, do displacement tests, and then cut them open. And now, so originally we started off only cutting open 5 because we were looking for embryos, but now that 95% of our pecans actually have embryos, we have to measure the embryo. And right now they're at like 0.01 millimeters, so they're super tiny, and it's really tedious because like if you like bump it too hard, it comes out, and you can't use that sample anymore. It's very frustrating, but that's my week, as well as we went on a tour to Oklahoma City, and it was a lot of fun. I learned a lot. It was very eye-opening to some people's practices in agriculture. It's always good to see different versions of what we practice in my home state, and that's about it. Does anybody have any questions? Can't think.
So you have already said this, but so you were only working with 2 types of nuts, or are you working with a lot of varieties?
So we're only working with Kansas and Pawnee because the reason for that is that they're very consistent across across all plants. Right. If you get into the native species, like this one, like you literally have the same native right next to each other, and this one can have pecans that are like measuring 25 millimeters on the dot, and then like this one's got like 5 millimeters. There's not as much consistency, and so for our research, we really wanted that consistent net so that we can accurately track every single week. So yeah, just Kansas and Pawnee.
What do you use to cut the pecans open?
Right now we're using X-Acto knives because they're still really soft. But as they get older, we're gonna use this little like hand saw, and gonna have to saw through the middle. And it's really frustrating because you have to get right down the middle, otherwise you can't see the embryo. And so sometimes I have to cut them like twice, and it's like a little thin slip, and it's not fun. Are there any other questions? All right, thank y'all.